Hi again. My name is Robert Thomas DeVincentis, and I'm the author of the Book of Kings. And in the Book of Kings, we get aftermath science, which comes from the four subjects of science, nature, man, and God. And I talk about the historical origins of those four subjects, and those bring about aftermath science. Today, we'll be discussing the false ideology of the study of man. It's the anthropology. In other words, the scientific false anthropology that you find today in society in the century that I lived in. Wow. Okay, so what about anthropology? Isn't it called the study of man, where he came from? This is the type of subject that the people that are involved in that in today's science, they're forever seeking and never finding. I'm 76 years old. I can remember going back when I was very young, and in science, man was only maybe 10,000 years old. Now he's 300,000 years old, and there's people that report, you see videos, man is millions of years old. So they keep changing the narrative. That means that as a person or a community, or you're in school, you can never really put your finger on exactly what people are saying. And then there's a craziness that exists. It's the reconstructionists, the people that find a few fragments of bones, and then they put together the whole skeletal remains of what they find. And then they say, this is part of man becoming this or that or the other. Okay, so how can we defunct current daily thinking, or that's now in the subjects of schools and everything else? How can we defunct anthropology the way it's being taught? Well, very simply, we have to go back to the origins. Remember, I said that I'm the person that deals with the historical origins on four subjects. And I said that you'll never find anybody like me on the face of the earth, and that's true, because I'm a contradictory person of what the current sciences and those things proclaim. And so if we go back to the very beginning, it says very clearly in the Bible that man was created in the image of God. Wow. So that means now when anthropology gets their hands and their fingers on it, you're never going to find anybody to say that there's anything about man, or from its beginning, from his conception, that he, is godly in any way. And so what happens in society is I said that they're forever seeking and never finding, and that's true, because they're trying to build something without God. So if we look at, and I've said many times in my talks about Adam, that nothing can compare to the glory of Adam and his creation, that man wasn't becoming something like through science and nature and an innate brain that made everything. No, that we're just mere copies of Adam, and we can't be better than the original, can we? Of course not. And so our intellectual minds and the things of who we are, if Adam was here today and he was in our technological society, he would be on cue with whatever we were. In fact, he might even be better, because I said that Adam lived longer. He communicated with God originally. His language came from God. So there's a lot of things that Adam and Eve basically had, that have more than us. And I explained that Adam was, the man was the last thing that God had created. And of course, the very, very last thing that, if that's true, that was created, was that the woman was taken out of man. And so from man's perspective and point of view, that even though God's creation is great, the last thing that God created was the helpmate or the woman. And from that, I said that God put all his creative powers and the beauty into the woman. So the whole idea, and why is that? Because even if there's a sunset, the stars or whatever, the woman would rival that. And vice versa, because there's a mirror image that the woman would say the same thing probably about the man as well. Well, anyway, God's creation is unfathomable. We can't really relate to it in common terms. However, the Bible does say that we're not supposed to live by bread alone, but by every word. So what about the church? Where does the church enter into all this in the anthropology? Again, I don't make an argument against the church, but I compare it to a common law wife. That means it's something that somebody loves and believes in, but never really takes the common law life to the altar to embrace her and call her the wife that she really is and marry her, so to speak. At any rate, that's just society, the society that we live in, that people do these things. So what am I saying exactly here? Well, we talked about the chronological order of believing that God is the orchestrator and creator of everything. And of course, in the aftermath science, we find the predisposition of all the living things being built into it and making it over and over and over again. And so the church itself, in the chronological order, embraces Adam. He's not a fairy tale person. He can't be. He has a chronological order that leads all the way down to Christ that are named in the Bible. Is there something beyond him or before him? No, but at the same time, if the church is not willing to confront the scientific community and say, hey, wait a second here, you're leading people astray away from God. Because if you look at what the anthropologist really believes, if you ever talk to one of them, and I don't take issue against anybody, everybody's at different levels of what they believe and where their faith is and everything else. And who knows, somebody could turn around the next day and proclaim that they found God and what I'm saying in regards to anthropology. But most anthropologists believe in the sciences. They don't believe in God the way that God said that he had created the world. Okay, so what makes things really difficult? The difficulty in anthropology and also the church itself, there's no difficulty there. They know that that God, Jesus Christ, the Son of God, the second person of the Holy Trinity, who existed before he became man under the Word of God, and he still remains the Word of God, became man. So that is the proof within itself when God said he created man in his image. And if that's true, then there's a comparative thing that's going on here, that God, who is really God, is also really man at the same time. So the whole idea in the study of anthropology, where we somehow came out of the ape thing and we became something, is really a misnomer, because nobody can really put together what man was previously, because there was a great flood. These things destroyed many things. The knowledge of man couldn't have been taken into the ark of what was there before. And several times in history, at the Tower of Babel, the knowledge of man was brought back to ground zero again. So man is captured in anthropology, in the studies, in academia, as some type of ape-like creature. And I state in my book that this is a prejudice that could come about, where somebody could say they're better than somebody else, when really in reality all men are and women are on an equal basis, no matter what color, religion, or whatever they are. they are made in the image of God, and God didn't make anything that he didn't like. And again, science is always trying to show that man was becoming better, but in reality, he wasn't already becoming better. He already was who he is today. And the model that you find here on earth is the same model. You can show no other model than what I'm saying, that people are born within 9 to 10 months after conception. That is the model. There is no other model. And all the animals that died out, well, they were here at one time, they became extinct, and now they're no more. And there's animals that were created that are still here, and they were here before as well. So in other words, all this Darwinism about man becoming better or was something, and he turned into this and turned into that, is a bunch of scientific baloney, basically, when it comes right down to it. You have people like Leakey and their discovery, I think that's the guy, Lucy, where they find a little bone and then they try to put together the whole human being, or they find skeletal remains where the bone structures are still have the anatomy of who man is. However, the bone structures are different. And of course, if you look at even today, there's many types of bone structures, but they have the same human bones that are countable and everything else. So there's really nothing different there. And then we talk about the beauty of women. As a man, I mean, that didn't just come about. That beauty was always here, and as a matter of fact, it was spoken of in the last world, where God said that man took women because they were fair to look upon and they were full of lust, and then there was the danger of the violence that was continually here, and that's why God eventually destroyed the world and all the animals and everything that we find. So unless anthropologists and these other people take into account the things of God, so the final revelation of God, and that he becomes man. So to put God in the same category as the apes or anything else is really foolishness, and that's something that doesn't belong there. So what is the common law wife that I keep speaking about, where the earth, where the church in its chronological order of what they believe in the Mass and the things, and I said that the Roman Catholic Church is the only church on the face of the earth where faith is at its maximum degree of what you can know, because of the apostles, because of Peter and the church itself, and that in the Bible itself, God said that he'd be making a new heaven and a new earth eventually, and a new covenant, which the church really is that covenant that was spoken about from the very beginning, even during Judaism, at the time of Judaism. So if the church is using the chronological order of man, not as some type of fairy tale, but the things that have really happened in the reality, well, then they need to embrace and say emphatically and come against the scientific proclamations that make man some kind of distant person. And it's not only in anthropology that man does this. He does that when he looks at the stars, the heavens, and he makes up all kinds of things that cannot be. And I've went over this stuff, and I've defunct most of whatever science is saying, current science anyway, about black holes and all that. You'd have to get a hold of the book or listen to the talks to see where this is all coming from. So the church needs to further embrace, in what I'm believing, and not in an argumentative sense, to further embrace the truth about the archaeology, the anthropology, the scientific, and these other things in nature that correspond with God proclaiming that he made and he did these things, giving God credit, whereas man cannot comprehend the miraculous nature of God, but rather he makes his science his God, because he believes everything that science brought about everything. But I always said that science is a gift from God, but science tries to make it their God and tries to get away from who God really is. Well, anyway, I hope that you enjoy these talks and make you think. I wasn't there when God created the world, but I have his book. I have the church that I believe in, that through the sacramental life of the church, um, that's where we find our salvation and everything. When Jesus Christ left and he gave the apostles the commission to go forth and to teach and to preach and all these types of things. So anyway, I wish you the best, and I hope you enjoy these talks, and I hope to talk to you again. Thank you.